Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Rimamnde Shawulu, and welcome to The Other Side. Tonight, we asked one question that has dominated conversations across Nigeria in the last 2 weeks. Will state police end Nigeria's insecurity? Let me begin with 3 simple questions. If Nigeria creates state police tomorrow, will Boko Haram disappear? Will kidnappers suddenly stop attacking highways? Will terrorists abandon their camps? The answer is definitely no. But then things can become much better, and that's exactly what we're discussing today. Because for years, Nigerians have been told 2 completely different stories. One group says state police will solve almost every Nigerian security problem. As a matter of fact, the argument has been that it is the absence of state or local police that has increased Nigeria's security problem. Yet another group says that state police will destroy democracy, enthrone dictatorship at state levels, and create more problems than solve any. However, the fact is that the truth lies somewhere in between. Tonight, we will try to separate hope from reality. To understand why Nigerians are demanding the state police, we must first understand what has happened to our country. Nigeria today faces multiple security crises at the same time. In the northeast, terrorist groups such as Boko Haram and ISWAP continue to threaten communities, ravage, kidnap, and have made much of the land space in the northeast ungovernable. In the northwest, bandit groups or terrorists attack villages, kidnap travelers, and raid farms. In the north central, much of what happens in the northeast and the northwest happen. But in addition, we have communal violence and criminal gangs that have displaced thousands of people. In the southeast, separatist-related violence has affected lives and businesses. Even states once considered relatively peaceful have been experiencing rising cases of kidnapping and organized crime. There is no longer a single security problem. It is a national security challenge with different causes in different regions. Not even the southwest, that has been seen as one of the safest places, is now safe. Now, think about this. Nigeria has one national police force, more than 36 states, the federal capital making 37 jurisdictions, over 777 local government areas, hundreds of ethnic communities, thousands of towns and villages. Many Nigerians have asked in the past and keep asking, can one centrally controlled police organization effectively understand every community? This question is at the heart of today's debate. Many Nigerians believe their governors control the police. That is not entirely correct, even though several governors have ordered several social media influencers detained and have not wasted time in getting the police to do their bidding when it comes to handing down stiff penalties or actions against their opponents. Of course, governors are often described as the chief security officers, but constitutionally and legally, they do not command the Nigerian police force. Operational authority remains with the national police hierarchy. This has led many state governors to argue that they carry responsibility for security without having direct operational control over policing. Of course, while that may be confusing for them, there is actually nowhere in the world that politicians or political office holders have operational command over any police or any security agencies at all, not in any democratic system of the world. But then what exactly is the state police? Let's simplify it. Imagine Nigerian football. There is the Super Eagles. Then there are club teams. Neither replaces the other. They perform different roles. The simple idea helps explain policing. Federal police deal with crimes affecting the entire country and things like terrorism, interstate organized crime, cyber crime, financial crime, and international policing. State police, on the other hand, if established, should or will focus mainly on local policing, community crime, kidnapping within the state, neighborhood patrols, traffic control, crime prevention, community intelligence. Notice something important. These responsibilities should be different, not better, not worse, just different. The idea is that policing becomes closer to the people. Officers understand local language, local geography, local culture, local criminal networks. That local knowledge, it is argued, can make policing more effective. But then there is another question. If state police becomes better at local policing, does that automatically solve Nigeria's security problem? The answer is definitely no, because the horse has already bolted. The security challenges in Nigeria are today much bigger than even the federal police, that is better equipped, has more members, has more knowledge, and can call on more resources than any state police can. This is perhaps the most important point in today's program. Nigeria is not fighting one enemy. Nigeria is not fighting petty crimes that the police can handle. Nigeria is facing multiple security threats that require different responses and sometimes may require lethal force that only a federal security or military system can provide. Consider Boko Haram, for instance. This is not an ordinary criminal gang. It is an organized insurgent movement. It uses military-style tactics. It has heavy weapons and provides explosive devices, cross-border movement, propaganda, international networks, recruitment networks that requires more than policing. It requires intelligence. It requires air power, military operations, regional cooperation across the borders of Nigeria that can handle Boko Haram. This applies to ISWAP, which has networks across the whole world, or any other armed group operating across international bodies. State police were never, and in no jurisdiction around the world, have they been designed to fight wars. They were designed to police communities. And understanding that distinction is very essential, because unrealistic expectations often lead to disappointment. If state police are judged by whether they eliminate Boko Haram, they will almost certainly be judged unfairly. But if they are judged by whether they improve local policing, protect schools, respond faster to emergencies, and strengthen community intelligence, then they have a much better chance of success. So what exactly can state police realistically improve? One mistake we often make in Nigeria is believing that there's only one way to organize a police service. There isn't. Different countries have built policing systems that reflect their own history, geography, and security challenges. Let's look at 4 examples. Take India. Like Nigeria, India is a federal country with a very large population and enormous cultural diversity. Each state has its police service responsible for everyday policing, but the national government still controls specialized agencies responsible for terrorism, national investigations, and border security. When serious insurgencies emerge, the central government can deploy federal forces to support the state police. In other words, local policing remains local, while national security remains national. The United States uses another layered system. City police protect neighborhoods. County sheriffs protect rural communities. State police enforce state laws and highway safety. Federal agencies like the FBI investigate terrorism, organized crime, and offenses that cut across state lines. Each organization has a different role. They cooperate rather than compete. Canada, another country in North America, follows yet another model. Some provinces operate their own police services. Others contract policing to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. The lesson: countries adopt policing to their own realities. There is no universal template. Australia also operates state police services, but national agencies coordinate intelligence, counter-terrorism, and organized crime. Again, local policing, national coordination. Notice something very interesting. None of these countries expect state police to defeat terrorism alone. Instead, they assign different responsibilities to different institutions. That is the first lesson Nigeria can learn. But what about countries that actually face insurgencies? What happens there? Some countries have fought insurgencies for decades. Their experiences offer valuable lessons for Nigeria. For more than 50 years, for instance, Colombia battled armed insurgent groups operating from forests and remote regions. The Colombian government eventually made significant progress, not because it simply recruited more police officers or created more police agencies, including state agencies. Success came from combining professional police, the military, intelligence agencies, economic development, judicial reforms, and strong local government. It was a whole government effort. And that is why, for the state police system to work well, local governments, especially in northern Nigeria, which have been destroyed by state governments seizing their money, must be restored and must become a tier of government that is fully funded, that is fully functional. Northern Ireland faced a different challenge. Years of political violence created deep mistrust between communities and the police. Reforming policing meant much more than changing uniforms. The government rebuilt public confidence through one, independent oversight, professional recruitment, human rights protection, and community engagement. People began sharing information because they trusted the police. That trust became one of the most powerful weapons against violence. Indonesia experienced deadly attacks in the early 2000s. Its response combined specialized counterterrorism with improved intelligence sharing and professional policing. The result was not the elimination of terrorism overnight, but sustained reduction in attacks through coordinated institutions. Across these very different countries, one lesson keeps repeating itself. Successful nations do not rely on one institution. They build systems where the police, intelligence agencies, the military, and local communities work together. That is the real debate Nigeria should be having. Not simply should we have a state police, but how do we build a security system where every institution performs the role it is best equipped to perform? And now that we've seen how other countries or jurisdictions organize policing, let's return to Nigeria for a while. What exactly can state police realistically improve? Here is the ultimate takeaway that we must note. State police is not a silver bullet that will magically make terrorism disappear overnight. Against hardline insurgencies like ISWAP, Boko Haram, and the Lakurawas, federal government's military precision, mobility, and financial tracking remain our primary shield. State police will definitely fail in this respect. But what state police can do is to build the foundation of our everyday internal security. It can secure our farms, clear our forests of bandits, give us rapid emergency response times, and establish human trust at the grassroots level so that people will be able to trust the police and give information to the police. Well, I don't know what you think about the debate about the police and what we should do. Thinking that the state police will solve our problems overnight is a mistake. But let me have your views. What do you think we should do? If you like this our content, I'd like you to just click on that subscribe button, or more importantly, perhaps just click on that notification notice so that anytime we release a video, you will be immediately notified. My name is Rimamnde Shawulu. This again is The Other Side.